Trainees in the music industry in Asia are living a terrible life. Trainees work very hard to make a debut in a group. A lot of them go through hard events so they can see achievements as idols. Unfortunately, the road to success will encounter some harsh experiences these trainees will go through. These stories are not only in K-pop, but also in C-pop, J-pop, Thai pop, and Hokkien pop. All trainees have to go through some rigid training, and some will go through some harsh moments to get to their goals. To start off, we will discuss the workload that these trainees have to face on a day-to-day basis. Most of these idol groups have choreography in their performances, meaning that all trainees will need to know how to dance to make their debut. These dance practices can be very long, some up to 12 hours a day practices. Some days even lasting into 2 a.m. on top of vocal and rap lessons. These practices can be very intense, with few rest days in between the practices. This has left trainees feeling exhausted, with some even fainting and developing health issues from this. Again, this situation is not only in the Korean idol industry, but also in other idol industries outside of Korea. In Thai pop, a former idol named Noon shared her experiences in her girl group called Candy Mafia. During her 3 to 4 months as a trainee, she explained how hard it was to balance school and practice at a young age. We got started right away as trainees, otherwise known as pop stars in training. The companies expected us to come in for dance and singing lessons from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. on the weekdays, and even longer on the weekends. She even talked about the time when filming a music video where things got more intense and hard to handle. Our daily dance rehearsals went on for 7 straight hours. We were also expected to practice upon returning to the hotel and wake up early the next day to exercise. While practicing in a room that was 12 degrees Celsius, we would be dripping in sweat just an hour into it. When the day came, we shot the music video for 24 hours with very few breaks in between. One of our members, Garn, even slipped and twisted her ankle, but fought very hard to hold out to the end. Our dance practices also got more intense. I recall practicing once with tears pouring down my face while my mom was watching. Another person who was a trainee at a K-pop company wrote about her experience in a BBC article. She discussed the challenges of overworking and practicing for long hours. She said, on a typical day, we trainees would wake up at 5 a.m. to get some extra dance practice before school started at 8 a.m. When the school day ended, we would return to the company to be trained in singing and dancing. Trainees would stay up practicing until 11 p.m. or later to impress instructors. The company sorted out in 2 groups, Team A and Team B. Team A had 30 members and was thought to have the most potential. Team B had around 200 trainees. I saw exhausted Team B trainees sleep in the dance studios after training because the mats there were just like the ones in their dorms. So you can see that these trainees have spent so much hours on training and practicing to get their debut. And yes, I understand that training and practicing is very important in order to make it to a group, but the problem is that these trainees are being overworked to the point of exhaustion. And these trainees are at a young age, so overworking is going to lead to a lot of stress for these trainees. And also they're at school, so this is going to add even more stress into their lives. As it was mentioned before, body image is an issue that trainees have to deal with. One of the East Asian beauty standards is being skinny and weigh no more than 110 pounds for females and weigh no more than 130 pounds for males. For a lot of trainees, this can be problematic, as it can add extra hassle into their lives as they are starving themselves or eating very little, which could lead to them being sick in the long run. The same Thai pop idol even included her dieting experience in the article. We also had to do daily workouts like running around the parking lot to stay fit and, more importantly, to get in shape. Despite being 13 and still growing, I was told to lose 5 to 6 kg because I was too heavy for an idol. To meet that requirement, I took up a new diet that consisted of salads and canned tuna. So trainees as young as 13 or even younger are forced to conform to the beauty standards although their bodies are still growing. This can lead to serious body issues, especially at a young age, as 13. In another dieting case, a former member of 50/50 revealed her company forced her into extreme dieting, which caused her to have kidney-related health problems. Despite her doctor's advice to stop dieting to avoid kidney dialysis, her company continued to force her into dieting. In another story that recently surfaced in July of 2024, a former K-pop trainee under this TikTok username shared the methods of her company tried to get to her to lose weight. She explained that the company was strict on weight and they injected her with the HCG hormone and a strict diet to lose weight. She was also taken to a clinic where they performed liposuction and talked about the possibility of her receiving an operation. She was also giving diet pills, but she became concerned as the doctor explained how bad the pills were, even adding that they wouldn't prescribe them to anyone of that age. Despite being so young, the pressures of the company and wanting to succeed meant that she had to agree to their treatment. Referring to that BBC article, that former trainee said, weight was a constant obsession of everyone there. Everyone was required to weigh no heavier than 104 pounds, regardless of their age or height. At weekly weigh-ins, your body was analyzed by the trainer and they would announce your weight to everyone in the room. If you were over the stated weight, then they would ration your food. Sometimes they would even take away entire meals, and those overweight trainees would just be giving water. Starving yourself was really normalized. Some trainees were anorexic or bulimic, and many of the girls didn't have period. It was common to pass out from exhaustion. Often we have to carry unconscious trainees back to their dorms. I passed out twice during dance practice, probably because I was dehydrated or hadn't eaten enough. I woke up in the bed not knowing how I got there. The attitude among the trainees after that was like, good for her, she wants it so much. Looking back at it now, I think it was really disgusting. So body image is such a big concern for these trainees to worry about. Having to severely restrict yourself from food to the point of exhaustion, and also to include possible plastic surgery to fit the beauty ideal, is all experienced at this young age. With a group of different types of people ending up in the same company trainee system, this means different types of personalities, aura, and demeanor within the trainees. Unfortunately, this means that some trainees will bump heads and will not get along with each other. There will be times of trainees putting each other down and making fun of each other's flaws. Regarding bullying within trainees, referring to that BBC article has talked about it. There was also bullying going on among the trainees. One girl was picked on because she was over the maximum weight. Another trainee who was a good dancer had his dance shoes stolen. And in some of these cases, illegal acts has happened between trainees. In April of 2023, it was reported that a former K-pop boy band member was charged with SA on a fellow member. A former member of a 6-person K-pop boy band was indicted on charges of SA on a fellow member over the course of 4 years, a South Korean media outlet reported on Monday. The former member, who was not named, was referred to trial in January. He was accused of SAing the victim at least 3 times from 2017 to 2021 in their dorms and practice room. Experts point out that the incident was aided by blind spots in the K-pop industry, where young trainees were left unprotected while spending long hours practicing in confined spaces. As the agency is considered neither an employment nor educational institution, it holds no responsibility for prevention or protection of S crimes, which leaves young trainees vulnerable. In September of 2023, the suspect only ended up serving probation. Aside from trainees doing gruesome acts to each other, there are also some horrible adults in charge of these trainees. The staff can be just as terrible and add to the bad experiences in the trainees' lives. In September 2014, K-pop male ex-trainees revealed that their talent agency's history of SA. Former male trainees of a management company in question confessed on camera that they were forced to perform and were AR'd by the company's CEO. When it was a company staff member's birthday, they rented out a room, performed shows, while female trainees served drinks as they suffered SH. After the CEO was sentenced to R and SA, they were shocked to discover that 2 of the 5 members of the idol group was SA'd since their early teens. When asked why they couldn't refuse the request, an ex-trainee said, "We had to do it no matter what, because otherwise the agency will fire us." They added that even though he left the company after 2 years of SA, there were still many young trainees who were willing to endure the acts. Another former trainee added that underage trainees are not exempted from SH. There were so many young trainees, but people would freely use terms and touch them inappropriately. Our cell phones were checked once a day, and our weights and heights were checked once a week. They would also check the girls' private areas. Trainee C revealed that, aside from trainees, the companies also abused their artists. A close auntie, who also debuted in an unpopular girl group, got called in by someone from the company one day and returned with face injuries. She wanted to commit S. Similar things has been happening in the J-pop industry. The founder of the Japanese talent agency, Johnny & Associates, Johnny Kitagawa, is known for creating some of the biggest J-pop boy groups, but it has come out that Kitagawa has committed acts of SA from the early 1970s until the mid-2010s to over 400 boy trainees. The most recent to report his experience, Kabun Akamoto, details SA by Kitagawa. Akamoto said that those acts happened to him up to 20 times from 2012 to 2016. Beginning when he was 15 in a boy band, and believed that a lot of other boys were S8 as well. Kitagawa died in 2019, and no criminal charges were ever filed against him, as the Japanese media has covered up his acts without reporting it at all. I watched Rotten Mango's 1-hour-long deep dive into the situation, and she goes really in-depth with some storytelling. I will link it in the description. To add, in April 2012, Open World Entertainment CEO Jang Suk-woo was arrested on suspicion of SA female trainees and coercing male idols to do so as well. The number of victims is reported to have at least 10 young women, and police now suspect that these acts have been taking place since 2008. Aside from SA, there are adult staff that uses physical force against the trainees. Gangnam Police announced that it booked a CEO of an entertainment agency on charges of sexual assault. CEO is accused of entering the dorm of his agency idol members in the early morning hours of June 11th while intoxicated and hitting them with a blunt object. The CEO is alleged to hit the members while saying, "Why is this dorm so filthy?" Minors were also present. From the other reports, it sounds like a boy group. It's really cruel that adults are using their power in a bad way for their own satisfaction. From SA to checking the trainees' weight and private areas to even hitting the trainees, it surprises me that they can get away with it. Plus, it makes me sad that knowing that these trainees are enduring these acts so they can still have a chance to debut in a group. SA being done to these trainees is absolutely horrendous. It should not be happening at all. What's even more disappointing is that these perpetrators are not really facing any serious consequences for their illegal actions. It's heartbreaking knowing that probably more victims are out there but choose to stay silent due to fear of backlash and also not being taken seriously. There is a change coming to one of these concerns for these young trainees. The City Council of Seoul has enacted groundbreaking legislation that protects young K-pop trainees from reinforced weight loss and plastic surgery. This was proposed by Councilman Kim Kyu-nam, aimed to safeguard the physical and mental well-being of teenage idol trainees. The ordinance provides a legal basis of psychological assessment, counseling, and even early intervention in cases of similar risk. This is a really great step forward to some positive change for current and future trainees to feel safe during their training years. But a lot of work needs to be done in order to change the other concerns I discussed in this video. Overall, trainees do have a hard life behind the scenes that they don't really even talk about, and they are willing to keep hidden for the chance of debuting in an idol pop group. They put up with hours of practice to the point of exhaustion, all on an empty stomach from starving themselves so they can lose weight, even though severe dieting can lead to some serious illnesses. Some trainees even have to endure horrible acts of other trainees and label staff so they can still be part of a potential group. I do wonder, are these acts a sense of breaking someone so they can be a moldable soldier of the company? I sincerely hope that these cases serve as a wake-up call and provide further force of South Korea and of all Asian idol industries to protect its trainees from abuse in all forms. Something needs to be done to protect these young teens as idols are getting younger and younger. These stories are awful. I hope the survivors will recover and get the justice they deserve. How many more cases like this has to happen?